Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 4th of August. Taliban lead negotiator pulls out of peace talks after appointment of new chief. India's Congress Party protests suspension of lawmakers. And Pakistani rights activist becomes real-life Bajrangi Bhaijaan for Indian girl. India's main opposition, the Congress Party, held a protest outside the Parliament on Tuesday against the suspension of its lawmakers. The Speaker had suspended 25 opposition parliamentarians for disrupting the House.
Top leadership of the Congress Party led its nationwide protest against the suspension of its lawmakers on Tuesday. The party had also boycotted the parliament proceedings to register its protest. Congress Party President Sonia Gandhi, Vice President Rahul Gandhi, along with former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, led the party's attack against the government.
सरकार की ड्यूटी बनती है पार्लियामेंट को चलाना है और जिस तरीके से उन्होंने हमारे मेंबर्स को सस्पेंड किया वो एंटी डेमोक्रेटिक है और मेरे हिसाब से जो मैं समझती हूँ लोकतंत्र का हत्या हो रहा है आज का।
Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan on Monday had suspended 25 Congress parliamentarians for 5 days, saying that they were guilty of grave disorder. The party had been protesting inside the parliament since the beginning of the monsoon session, demanding the resignation of Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj. Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi said the government is running away from debates inside the House.
जमीन के मामले पे कांग्रेस पार्टी इनके सामने खड़ी हुई, इन्होंने बहुत आवाजें की, बहुत धमकियां दी, बहुत चिल्लाए और फिर घूम के भाग गए। इसी प्रकार से इनको हम करप्शन के मामले पे, व्यापम के मामले पे, राजस्थान के सीएम के मामले पे और सुषमा स्वराज जी के मामले पे हम इन पे प्रेशर नहीं कम करेंगे। चाहिए हम सबको पार्लियामेंट से उठा के फेंक दें, पार्लियामेंट में हमें अंदर वापस ना जाने दें, बाकी देश बचा हुआ है, हम इनको पूरे देश में घेरेंगे।
The ruling Bharatiya Janata Party said the Congress Party is running negative and obstructive politics.
किसी भी सदस्य को सदन से निष्कासित करने का निर्णय कभी खुशी से नहीं होता, बल्कि एक मजबूरी में होता है। जब सर से पानी पूरा ऊपर हो जाता है तब होता है। हमें लगता है कि ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है और ऐसी परिस्थितियां नहीं बननी चाहिए कि इस तरह के कड़े और मजबूरी वाले निर्णय लेने पड़े। इसलिए जो है वो कांग्रेस पार्टी के भाई सदस्यों को आत्मचिंतन करना होगा कि उन्होंने जिस तरह का व्यवहार किया वो अपने आप में कहीं ना कहीं देश की संसदीय मर्यादाओं की धज्जियां उड़ाने वाला था।
The monsoon session, which began last month, has so far failed to address many key legislations which the government was expecting to get passed due to the opposition protest. With the government in no mood to budge and a relentless opposition insisting on its demand, many fear that the session could be washed out.
The death toll in Myanmar floods has climbed to at least 46 as torrential rains and landslides continues across many regions of Myanmar. The country has been experiencing heavy rains for over 2 weeks, throwing normal life out of gear.
Rescue workers in Myanmar have stepped up efforts in reaching out to tens of thousands of people stranded in the remote areas of Myanmar enduring rooftop high floods. Death toll is expected to rise further as the rescue teams race against time to reach those in need of help in far-flung areas. Aid and relief teams are also airdropping supplies to flooded areas in Rakhine state as soon as the rain stopped. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced due to flooding and landslides, the worst in the country in decades. Many of them have been shifted to temporary relief camps and monasteries. Western Rakhine and Chin states are among the worst hit, which have been declared as national disaster-affected regions. Myanmar is annually struck by monsoon rains, resulting in landslides and flash floods.
Afghan government has clarified that it will not have separate talks with Taliban following the leadership change. The peace process between both the sides hit a roadblock following the death of Taliban chief Mullah Omar. A report.
The Afghan government made its first official reaction on holding talks with the new Taliban leadership. The government said it will not deal with Taliban independently from other armed opposition in the country. In an apparent reference to the newly announced Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, a faction of the Taliban, the Ashraf Ghani government, said it will not accept a parallel political structure opposed to the administration. Hopes of ending the prolonged deadlock in the war-ravaged country had risen when representatives of the Afghan government and Taliban held the first formal talks in Islamabad last month, which was facilitated by the Pakistan government. However, the peace process suffered a setback after the second round of formal dialogue got postponed following confirmation of the death of Afghan Taliban chief Mullah Omar 2 years back. Omar's death has led up to a leadership crisis within Taliban, with many including his family refusing to pledge allegiance to its new chief Mullah Mansoor. As confusion prevails within the top ranks of the militant group, a breakthrough in the peace process remains elusive.
Meanwhile, the peace efforts of the Afghan government suffered yet another setback on Tuesday after the chief negotiator of the Taliban resigned. Saeed Taib Agha, who is the head of Taliban's political office in Qatar, announced his withdrawal from the negotiations after Malaysia elevated Mullah Akhtar Mansoor as its chief. Agha, who was known to be close to the former Taliban chief Mullah Omar, was reportedly disappointed with the decision. In a statement, he has also criticized the Taliban leadership for keeping the news of Omar as a secret. He has, however, promised to continue to work with the Taliban. Pakistan is trying to create a divide between the various ethnic groups in its western Baluchistan province, activists have alleged. They also call for more international attention to the decades-long exploitation of natural resources by Pakistan in the province.
Pakistan's southwestern Baluchistan has witnessed an increase in ethnic violence and killings in the recent years. The number of attacks on outsiders, mainly migrant workers from Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, has been on the rise recently. The governments have regularly blamed local armed groups for carrying out such attacks. However, exiled Baloch leaders have refuted the government's claims. They say the spike in violence is a part of Pakistan's design to keep the people divided.
मैं आपको वो रीज़न बता रहा हूँ कि किस वजह से, क्योंकि ये तो 50 साल से पंजाबीज़ यहाँ रह रहे हैं बलूचिस्तान में, क्वेटा में रह रहे हैं 50 साल से, और भी दूसरे पठान रह रहे हैं और दूसरे लोग रह रहे हैं, कभी किसी ने किसी को नहीं मारा। अब जो हो रहे हैं तो वो ये जो एक्शंस हैं, जो माहौल क्रिएट किया गया है, उसकी वजह से हो रहा है।
The restive border province sits on untold amount of natural resources, including petroleum and natural gas. Locals, however, said the abundant resources are being exploited by Islamabad to power other provinces, while the locals are still living in dark.
आप 1952 में जब आपने गैस निकाला, आज तक बाकी बलूचिस्तान को तो छोड़ें, पूरा पंजाब इसी गैस से इस्तेफादा हो रहा है, आपकी तमाम इंडस्ट्रीज इसी गैस से चल रहे हैं, और बलूचिस्तान को तो आप छोड़ें, आप जिस इलाके से निकल रहा है देरा बुक्टी, वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट को भी छोड़ें, जो सुई है, जो एक तहसील है, वहाँ के लोग अभी भी लकड़ियाँ जला रहे हैं।
Nationalist leaders and activists claim that Islamabad is continuing its exploitation due to the lack of international scrutiny. Many Baloch rights groups have now taken it upon themselves to bring international attention to their issue.
वही ह्यूमन राइट वायलेशंस के खिलाफ जो बलूचिस्तान में हो रहे हैं, स्विट्जरलैंड में कर रहे हैं, लंदन में हमारे जो पार्टी के दोस्त हैं वो कर रहे हैं, जर्मनी में कर रहे हैं, नॉर्वे स्वीडन में कर रहे हैं, साउथ कोरिया में कर रहे हैं, और बलूचिस्तान के अंदर जिस हद तक हमारे लिए पॉसिबिलिटीज़ हैं, हमारे लोग कर रहे हैं। सोशल मीडिया पर हमारे दोस्त एक्टिव हैं, इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, उनको हम रिपोर्ट करते हैं हर 2-3 महीने के बाद यहाँ पर जनीवा में कि बलूचिस्तान में क्या डेवलपमेंट हुई है।
The years of exploitation in Balochistan without due compensation has given rise to an insurgency in the Pakistan's largest province.
The Reserve Bank of India on Tuesday kept key lending rates unchanged in its policy review. The move is aimed at taming food inflation, which had registered an 8-month high.
Keeping in line with the market analysts' expectations, the Reserve Bank of India on Tuesday kept its policy rates unchanged.
The repo rate at which the RBI lends to the system will continue to be 7.25% and the cash reserve ratio will remain 4%. The move was widely expected after a spike in food prices sent consumer inflation to an 8-month high. Stating that the policy action was front-loaded in June, Governor Raghuram Rajan said it is prudent to keep the policy rate unchanged at the current juncture while maintaining the accommodative stance of monetary policy. He also added that the headline inflation is at elevated levels and banks are yet to pass on the full benefits of previous rate cuts.
We held the policy rate at 7.25% while we await data on whether the recent increases in inflation, including in non-food items, are temporary and whether the monsoon will continue to be near normal. We note the recent fall in oil prices, which will be very beneficial for India. We will await greater transmission of our past front-loaded actions while we look and monitor developments for emerging room for more accommodation.
RBI has cut the rates thrice so far in 2015 by 25 basis points each. The central bank said the outlook for economic growth was improving gradually and maintaining its 7.6% target for 2015-16.
As war-torn Afghanistan is eyeing to move forward from the years of conflict, the US has pledged a sum of $800 million to rebuild the country. A report.
The Afghan government and the representatives of the US on Monday signed a memorandum of understanding for the new development partnership. Under this, the US will provide up to $800 million to Afghanistan in the budget assistance to maintain and build on the gains over the last 13 years in the aftermath of Taliban ouster. The aid, which will be paid out in a period of 4 years, will be spent in consultation with the World Bank and in line with the Afghanistan's development budget. Both the sides claimed that the development represents a fundamental transformation in the nature of cooperation between the two countries. Washington had pledged to support the Afghan National Unity Government's effort to achieve its own ambitious reform agenda during President Ashraf Ghani's visit to the US in March. The two sides had also last month parleyed on strengthening Afghan forces, even as the US offered support for the Afghan-led peace process with Taliban.
Salman Khan's star Bajrangi Bhaijaan told the story of a mute Pakistani girl who accidentally strayed into India and the hero's efforts to reunite her with family. It turns out that the film has a real-life story in Pakistan. Take a look.
Pakistani human rights activist Ansar Bernie is turning out to be the Bajrangi in real life. The former federal minister is in a pursuit to reunite 23-year-old Geeta with her Indian family. Geeta, who cannot speak or hear, has been living in Lahore for over 15 years after she got separated from her family during a trip to Pakistan. She has been living with the charity in Karachi ever since. Bernie has been trying to locate her relatives from 2012. His efforts came to the limelight following the release of Bajrangi Bhaijaan, which talks about a similar story. After the incident gained attention, the Indian Foreign Ministry stepped into action. Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj has directed the Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, TCA Raghavan, to meet Geeta and ensure her return.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Taliban lead negotiator pulls out of peace talks after appointment of new chief. India's Congress party protests suspension of lawmakers. And Pakistani rights activist becomes real-life Bajrangi Bhaijaan for Indian girl. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. They can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.